Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Terumot Perek He Mishna Aleph. Over here in this Perek, we're going to focus a lot on different variations of things that are either miduma or the ole, right? Teruma ola, right? Which means it's nullified, it's batel, and you just have to take one out. So if it's miduma, if something falls into one that falls into another 99 pieces, that's no good, right? That's considered miduma. It's also safek teruma. We'll see the laws that you just need to sell or give or sell the whole thing to the kohen, except for the one, right? Because that one really is belongs to him. So you give him that one for free, and the rest of the 99 you could sell. If it falls into 100, then it's what we say teruma ola b'me'ah, right? B'me'ah ve'achat, meaning the teruma itself, you just need to take one out, and the rest you could eat, right? It's as if it's batil. So very much this whole perek is going to be those discussions. You have to remember those principles. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to speak about 4 cases. There are 3 different laws. Harambam breaks down into 3 different cases, and there's actually 4 variations of these. But the Mishnah speaks of it in 3 ways, and that is teruma, pure and or impure, that falls into Hulin, that's either pure or impure. And what's going to be the issue over here? If teruma, right, and everything we're talking about over here in our Mishnah is falling into 99, less than 100 pieces. So everything over here is going to be miduma. Everything is safek teruma. So if you have one that falls into 99, it's going to be miduma. That's safek teruma. Now let's say that one that fell in was teruma teme'ah. So now that entire pile becomes safek teruma teme'ah, right? Safek that it's impure teruma. And what are the laws? What do we do about that? Let's say the teruma that fell in, let's say it was tehora, right? Okay, that's fine. But now what do you do with that? What's the law? Let's say it was tameh and it went ahead and fell into Hulin. So now you have teruma teme'ah that fell into again, now now you have teruma tehora, right? Teruma tehora that fell into tameh Hulin. How do you navigate that case? So they give me multiple cases over here, and we're going to go through each of them. So firstly, se'at teruma teme'ah shnafla pachot mime'ah Hulin. So you have one se'at teruma teme'ah, it fell into less than 100 Hulin, right? So now the whole thing becomes safek teruma teme'ah. It's miduma. And it's miduma, but the teruma that fell in was teme'ah, so now the whole thing is safek teruma teme'ah. So what do you do with this? Or let's say it fell into ma'aser rishon, fell into that the ma'aser rishon that belongs to Levi, or fell into ma'aser sheni, or the hekdesh, right? From ma'aser sheni, which you're supposed to eat in Jerusalem, or fell into hekdesh, which is something that you were giving to the Bet Hamikdash. Ben teme'im ben teorim. Doesn't matter whether these hulin were tameh or tahor, yirkavu. The law is that you need to leave these to rot. Why? Because teruma teme'ah, there's nothing you can do with it. You can't eat teruma teme'ah, and this whole thing is safek teruma teme'ah. So now you have to let it sit, let it rot, and that's all. That's all you can do with it. Now, im tehorai ta'otasea, let's say that teruma teme'ah. This is the second case in the Mishnah. Let's say that teruma wasn't teme'ah. It was teruma tehora. Oh, okay. Now what happened is teruma tehora fell into Hulin tehorin. Okay, so something tahor that fell into something tahor, but it's miduma. So what's the standard case of miduma? The standard case over here, we're finally speaking about it. We mentioned it in the passing, but this is the case law. Yimachrula kohanim bidme teruma. It gets sold to the kohanim. It's safek teruma. Okay, but so now it's sold to the kohanim bidme teruma at the value of teruma. Right, the value of teruma is a little less, right, because there's less of a market share for it. There's less of a demand. So the price is a little bit less for teruma versus the regular standard Hulin. But he's not allowed to sell chutz midemeh otaisa. You could sell the 99 pieces, but you can't sell the value of that one that fell in. So if you have a total of 100, 100 apples that you're selling to that you're selling to the kohen, you're allowed to sell it to the kohen. You're only allowed to sell 99 of those, and you have to give him one for free. Now, the ma'aser rishon nafla. Let's say this, one apple fell into ma'aser rishon. Okay, so now you said you're not allowed to sell that one piece of safek teruma that fell in. But within the ma'aser rishon, remember that there's still a Terumat Maaser that the Levi needs to give to the Kohen. He needs to give 10% of what he has over there. So if it fell into 99, this one fell into 99 apples, not only does he's not allowed to sell that one that fell in, he's also not allowed to sell the other 10% of what was there, 9.9, right? Approximately 10. So you'd have to go ahead and gift to the Kohen 11 apples instead. Right, so Yikra Shem the Terumat Maaser, he needs to call out the name of Terumat Maaser, right, and gift that to the Kohen as well. Even the Maaser Rishon or Hekdesh Nafla, let's say it fell into Maaser Sheni or to Hekdesh. So now what do you do? Hare Elu Yipadu, right? You have to go ahead and redeem all these fruits, right, and then you turn them into Hulin, and then you could go ahead and sell them to the Kohen. Okay, those are the first two cases, right? Some Terumat Time'ah that fell into Hulin, and Terumat Tehora that fell into Hulin. Now we're going to speak about the last case over here is Im Time'im Hayu Otana Hulin. Let's say these Hulin that the Terumat Tehora fell into were Tameh. Okay, interesting. Now you have something that you have something that was Terumat Tehora that fell into now these impure Hulin. Okay, now these impure Hulin, it didn't make the Teruma, didn't make it Tameh yet. It fell into the pile, right? But this Teruma may not have been susceptible to becoming Tameh yet, for a reason that we'll discuss in a moment. So what do you do? So Mishna says Ya'alu, V'ya'achlu nikudim, right? I'm going to ignore the word Ya'alu over here because it's a problematic word within Girsah of Harambam. I'm really not sure what to do with it, but Harambam explains that we're talking about a case of Miduma, right? That's why I'm not sure what Ya'alu is. But what does he say? Ya'achlu nikudim. It needs to be eaten as nikudim. Nikudim are, a lot of Mefashim explain it as something that's dry, right? Nikudim, Harambam explains Nikudim, he says like ka'ak, like little ka'ak. Right? The point over here is each ka'ak is a hatzi betzah. It's less than a betzah worth. And we know that food that is less than a betzah, right? This ka'ak is half a betzah. Something that's less than a betzah cannot receive, right? Is not susceptible to becoming tameh. It cannot become tameh, right? And we want to prevent this teruma, tehora, that fell in from becoming tameh. So even though it's mixed with Hulin, we're going to break it up into smaller pieces, right? So the size of a half of a betzah, so it's not going to become tameh, and then you bake it like that, right? And at no point do you have any amount that's greater than one betzah. Right? Interesting. Nikudim is probably from the language of nikuda, like a little point, like the little either small dots or maybe there's the hole in the middle, like a ka'ak, or kilayot, or roasted, right? Roasted, it's dry, right? So if it's dry, right, that's also not susceptible to becoming tameh. Or yiloshu b'mei perot, or you need it, right? Let's say you had wheat that fell in, right? Now you have one fell into 99, then one was Terumat Tehora, fell into 99 Hulin. Okay, you could go ahead, you could grind it, but you can't add water to it. The second you add water to it, or one of the 7 liquids, right, that makes it susceptible to becoming tameh. So what is the Mishnah proposing? So you know what, you could go ahead and knead it with fruit juice, pomegranate juice, right? You could do different types of liquids that don't make it susceptible to becoming tameh. So that's the other option that Harambam brings down over here, right? The Mishnah brings down. Or you break them out into smaller little pieces of dough. Again, each one less than a kabetzah. So these options are pretty much one of two options. Either you're preventing the item from becoming tameh, either because of the size that you're making it, right? Or, sorry, by the way, if it's less than a kabetzah, not that it can't receive. If it's less than a kabetzah, it can't give off tuma. It can't pass on tuma. Food could receive tuma at any size. If it's a size of a kabetzah, then it can't pass on tuma. So the second we make everything less than a kabetzah, then it can no longer pass on the tuma. So now we're preventing the Hulin from passing on the Tumat to something else. Or from the flip side, or we have the opportunity of removing the opportunity of it becoming Tameh. How? Right? By causing this Teruma to become unsusceptible. How so? By not adding any liquids to it, right? Not adding one of the Shiva Mashkim. Right? So those are the two options, either from the Hulin side of making it impossible to pass on, or from the Teruma side, making it impossible to receive. Right? And the Mishnah is so there's no, right? There's no kabetza in one place, so it makes it impossible for the Hulin to pass on the Tuma. So we just had these 4 cases, right? 3 of them are the same laws, right? What are these 4 cases? Harambam sums it up at the end. If you have Terumat Teora that fell into Hulin Timein, right? We said that was the last, right? That's the last case of the Mishnah. Terumat that fell into Hulin Timein. That's the case where you either need to break it up into smaller pieces, less than a kabetza. You make sure that the Tuma doesn't pass on to the Teruma, right? Because it's Safek Terumat Teora. Or it falls into Hulin Teorin, right? That was the second case in the Mishnah. Right, Terumat Teora that fell into Hulin Teorin, right? So that's the case we have to go ahead and sell it to the Kohen, except for the one that fell in. Or the last 2 cases, or the first 2 cases the Mishnah spoke about, was Terumat Time'ah that fell into Hulin Time'in or Hulin Teorin. Right? It doesn't matter. Once Terumat Time'ah falls in, the whole thing becomes Safek Terumat Time'ah, right? Meduma, something, but it's Safek Time'ah, and both those cases. Right? We said the law is that you have to let it sit there and rot, and everything, everything is, flows as we just mentioned, as we spoke about this Mishnah. Right? So each case we have Teruma pure versus impure that fell into Hulin pure versus impure. 4 cases total, but it really comes out to 3 different case laws as we explained.